The night was quiet around the old research station. Only the faint hum of the solar panels broke the silence. Aaron walked slowly along the path that led from the main building to the small landing bay. He liked walking here at night. The air was cooler, and the stars above were brighter than in the day sky. His boots crunched lightly on the gravel path, and the dim yellow lights along the sides gave everything a calm glow. Aaron worked as a technician at the station. It was not an exciting job, but it was peaceful. Most of the time, he repaired communication units, checked the power grid, and made sure the landing pads were ready for ships. On some nights, he would stay outside longer just to watch the sky. Ships from other worlds sometimes passed overhead, leaving thin glowing trails. Aaron had seen many kinds of visitors, but tonight he expected no one. As he reached the halfway point to the bay, he noticed something unusual. A shadow moved quickly between the lights ahead. It was small, much smaller than an adult human. Aaron stopped and listened. At first, there was only silence. Then he heard soft, quick footsteps. The shadow moved again, this time closer, and then a figure stepped into the light. It was a little girl, but not a human girl. Her skin was a pale blue, with a faint silver shine under the light. Her hair was short and the color of midnight, with thin strands that caught the light like tiny threads of metal. Her large eyes glowed faintly, not with reflection, but with their own light, like the small moons. She wore a simple tunic and carried nothing in her hands. Before Aaron could speak, the girl ran straight to him. Her small hand grabbed his firmly. Her touch was warm and trembling. She looked up at him, and in a voice that was both urgent and frightened, she said, "You are the only one who can save my sister." Aaron froze. He looked down at her face and saw the fear in her eyes. She spoke with a strange accent but clear words. He felt his heartbeat quicken. "What do you mean?" he asked gently. "Who are you?" The girl glanced around as if afraid someone might be following. She stepped closer to him, holding his hand even tighter. "My name is Lyra. My sister has been taken by machines. I look for help, but no one listens. They told me humans can fix machines. You are human. Yes, you can help her." Aaron had never seen her kind before, but her words struck him deeply. Something about the way she held onto his hand told him she had no one else. Her voice was thin, almost breaking, but it carried a strange trust. He knelt down so that his eyes were level with hers. "Slow down. Tell me what happened. Where is your sister now?" Lyra took a shaky breath. "Scavenger drones came to our camp. They take living things. They took my sister because she tried to protect a small animal. They take their captives far away and sell them. My people cannot follow them. We do not know how to stop their ships. But I heard humans can open their systems. Please, if you do not help, I will never see her again." Aaron had heard rumors of scavenger drones before. Old, half-lawless machines that roamed unprotected zones, looking for anything valuable to take. They were built for mining and recovery, but some had been reprogrammed long ago for darker purposes. They had no sense of kindness, only orders and profit. The idea of a young girl's sister being trapped in one of their holding pods made him feel a cold anger. He looked at Lyra again. She stood still, watching his face, as if afraid he might turn away like others had. "How far away did they take her?" Aaron asked. "They are still on this planet," Lyra said quickly. "Their base is in the ash valleys, but they will leave soon. I have been counting the suns. They will go into space after 3 more rises. That is why I am here. I need you." Now, the ash valleys were not a safe place. Aaron knew that. The ground there was covered in fine black dust, and the wind could rise suddenly, carrying sharp crystal fragments that cut through anything. Even strong machines sometimes failed there. Still, the way Lyra spoke left him little choice in his heart. He stood up and looked back toward the station. If he left, it would mean breaking the quiet life he had built here. But he also knew he could not ignore her. She had found him, trusted him, and asked for help. "You came here alone?" he asked, surprised. "Yes," Lyra answered. "I walked through the night. I did not stop. I could not stop." She looked down at her feet, covered in dust. I was afraid I would be too late. Aaron took a deep breath. All right, I will help you, but you must stay close to me. And you must tell me everything you know about those drones. Her eyes widened, and for the first time since she appeared, a small smile touched her face. She nodded quickly. I will tell you everything. I know the way to their base. Aaron led her toward the landing bay. There was an old rover stored there, built for travel over rough ground. It was not fast, but it could handle the valleys, if they were careful. He began checking its systems while Lyra stood nearby, her glowing eyes watching every move he made. As he worked, she told him more. Her people were not fighters. They came to this planet to study its skies and the strange life that lived in its deserts. They believed in leaving every place as they found it. But the scavenger drones did not care. They had been built for taking, and that was all they did. By the time Aaron had the rover ready, the stars above had shifted. The night was moving toward dawn. He looked at the girl, standing there with her hands clasped tightly. She was small, but her courage to come here alone was greater than most adults he had known. He thought again of her first words, "You are the only one who can save my sister." They were heavy words, but he felt ready to carry them. As the rover's engine started with a low rumble, Lyra climbed inside beside him. The road ahead was unknown, but Aaron knew one thing. He would not let her down. The quiet life of the station was behind him now. The rescue had begun. The rover moved slowly at first, its wheels crunching over the loose gravel near the landing bay. The engine's low hum mixed with the soft whisper of wind in the early dawn. Aaron sat in the driver's seat, his hands steady on the controls. Lyra sat beside him, her legs drawn close and her eyes fixed on the horizon. The soft light of morning began to spread across the landscape, painting the sky in shades of pale orange and gold. Aaron noticed how Lyra kept glancing behind them, as if she feared something might be following. He spoke in a calm voice to break the silence. "You said the drones took your sister. Tell me more. I need to understand before we get there." Lyra turned her glowing eyes toward him. "The drones came without warning. We were camped near a riverbed. My sister, Mira, was feeding a small creature we had found. It was weak and could not walk well. Then the sky filled with a loud sound. The ships came down, and the drones poured out. They did not speak. They scanned the camp, and when they saw Mira holding the creature, they surrounded her." Aaron listened, carefully, picturing the scene in his mind. "Did your people try to fight them?" Lyra shook her head slowly. "We do not fight. Our tools are for building and learning, not for harming." My parents shouted, but the drones ignored them. They took Mira and the animal into their ship and left before anyone could follow. Aaron understood now why she had come to him, the scavenger. Drones would see no difference between a living creature and any other valuable object. To them, a rare alien life form was just something to sell. "Why do you think I can help?" Aaron asked, wanting to hear her reasoning. Lyra sat up straighter. "I have heard stories from travelers. They say humans can make machines obey them. They say humans can break any lock if they have time. You work at a station, so you must know about ships and systems. The drones are machines. Machines can be stopped." Her words were simple, but they carried a heavy hope. Aaron felt the weight of that hope settling on his shoulders. He had repaired many things in his life, but this was different. This was not about fixing a broken part. This was about breaking into something that did not want to be broken. As the rover moved farther from the station, the land began to change. The ground turned darker, and the air carried a fine dust that clung to their clothes. In the distance, sharp ridges rose like the spines of some ancient creature. Aaron knew these ridges marked the outer edge of the ash valleys. Lyra pointed toward the ridges. "There are bases beyond those. I have been there once before, from far away. I followed their ship until I could not go closer. The air is hard to breathe there, and the storms are dangerous." Aaron nodded. "We will have to be careful. The storms can strip paint from metal. If one starts, we will need to find shelter fast." For a while, they traveled in silence again. Aaron focused on the path, staring around deep cracks in the ground. Lyra kept watching the sky and the ridges ahead. After some time, she spoke again. her voice quieter. "I was afraid you would say no," she admitted. "I asked others in the nearby settlements, but they said the drones are too strong. They told me to go home." "I'm not like them," Aaron replied. "If there's a chance to help, I'll take it. I can't promise it will be easy, but I'll try." Her eyes brightened slightly. "That is all I hope for, someone to try." The rover climbed a low rise, and from the top they could see the wide stretch of black sand that led to the valleys. The wind was stronger here, carrying a faint whistle. Aaron stopped the rover and pulled a small scanner from the dashboard. He waved it slowly across the horizon. The screen showed a faint moving signal far ahead. "That could be a patrol drone," he said. "We will need to stay out of sight." Lyra leaned closer to look at the scanner. "If we follow the old river channel, we can stay low until we reach the first ridge. That is what I did before." They turned the rover toward the channel, the wheels sinking slightly into the softer ground. The banks of the channel rose on either side, giving them cover. As they traveled, Aaron asked more questions about the drone's base. "It is inside the largest canyon," Lyra explained. "They have walls of metal and lights that shine all night. I saw tall towers with spinning arms. I think they listen to the air for anyone coming close." Aaron understood that meant radar and signal detection. "Do you know how many drones are there?" "Many," Lyra said. "More than 20. Some are small and fly. Some walk on 6 legs. Others are like machines for moving heavy rocks, but they carry cages instead." The description was clear enough. They would be facing both patrol units and transport machines. Aaron began to think about possible ways in. If he could find their central power source or main control hub, he might disable enough systems to give them a chance to grab Mira and escape. The morning light grew brighter, but the sky here seemed hazy. The fine dust of the ash valleys rose with every gust of wind, making the air shimmer. Aaron pulled up a cloth mask to cover his mouth and nose. Lyra did the same. By midday, they reached the first ridge. Aaron stopped the rover in the shadow of a large rock outcrop. "We should rest here for a short time," he said. "The next part will be harder." Lyra sat on a flat stone, sipping water from a small container she carried. Aaron checked the rover's systems again, making sure the engine was cool and the wheels free of too much dust. While they rested, Lyra looked toward the deeper part of the valleys. Her expression was serious, but there was also a spark of determination in her eyes. "Mira is brave," she said softly. When the drones came, she did not run. She stood in front of the small creature and told them to leave it. "That is the kind of person she is. I must bring her back." Aaron listened quietly. He could tell that Lyra's journey to find him had been driven not just by fear, but by love for her sister. That kind of love was stronger than fear. After a short rest, they climbed back into the rover and prepared to enter the valleys. The ridges ahead cast long shadows, and somewhere beyond them, the scavenger drones kept their captives. Aaron started the engine, feeling the weight of the mission ahead, whatever waited for them beyond those ridges. He knew one thing: Lyra had trusted him with her only hope, and he would not turn back. The ridges of the ash valleys rose high around them, their jagged edges sharp against the hazy sky. Aaron drove the rover slowly into the first narrow pass. The ground here was soft and uneven, covered in fine black dust that shifted under the wheels. The wind was steady, carrying a dry, metallic taste. Lyra sat quietly beside him, watching every shadow and every movement along the rocks. Her eyes seemed sharper than his, picking out details in the dim light. "The air here feels heavy," she said softly. "It's the dust," Aaron replied. "It clings to everything. We'll need to clean the filters often, or the rover could stop running." They moved deeper between the ridges, the light growing dim as the walls closed in. Aaron checked the scanner often, looking for signs of patrol drones. The signal from earlier had faded, but he knew that didn't mean the area was safe. To keep Lyra's mind focused, he asked her to tell him more about her people. "We are called the Syrians," she began. "We travel to learn. My parents teach others about the skies and the stars. We visit many worlds, but we do not take anything. We only watch and listen." She paused, her voice tightening. The scavenger drones are different. They do not watch, they only take. Aaron understood the difference well. He had worked with many explorers, but scavengers were something else entirely. They were not bound by laws or respect for life. The pass opened into a wider valley floor, scattered with black stone pillars that rose from the dust like broken towers. Aaron steered the rover between them, using them as cover. The wind picked up, whistling through cracks in the rock. Suddenly, Lyra leaned forward and pointed. Look, there, near the base of one of the stone pillars, half buried in dust, lay the twisted remains of a small drone. Its legs were broken, and its surface was scratched and scorched. Aaron stopped the rover and climbed out to examine it. Lyra followed, her boots leaving light prints in the dust. Aaron crouched beside the wreck. This one's been destroyed for a while, he said. Look at the edges. Whatever hit it was strong enough to crush its frame. Do you think the storm did it? Lyra asked. He shook his head. The damage looks more like it came from another machine. The storms here can tear things apart, but they don't leave marks like this. They searched the wreck, but most of its systems had been stripped away. Only a single power core remained, long since drained. Aaron kept the shell, thinking it might be useful later if they needed a distraction or false signal. Back in the rover, they pressed on. The ridges became higher, and the path narrowed again. The wind howled louder, carrying tiny shards of crystal dust that sparkled in the weak light. Aaron activated the rover's outer shield to protect the glass dot as they moved forward. Aaron began to notice faint tracks in the dust. They were wide, with deep grooves running along the center. He recognized the pattern from old reports, transport drones with heavy treads. The tracks were fresh, meaning they were getting close to an active route. Lyra saw it too. They take this way to reach their base, she said. I followed these tracks before, but I had to stop when the air became too hard to breathe. We'll follow them now, Aaron replied, but we'll need to stay alert. If one of the transports comes this way, we can't be seen. They continued for another hour, the tracks guiding them deeper into the valleys. The sky above was now a dull gray, the sunlight almost gone behind the haze. The air felt heavier, and Aaron could hear the faint crackle of static on the rovers. Sensors, a sign that a storm might be building somewhere nearby. They stopped under the shelter of a tall ridge to clean the air filters. While Aaron worked, Lyra sat on a rock and told him more about Mira. She is older than me, Lyra said with a small smile. She always tries to protect others, even when it is dangerous. That is why she stood in front of the drones. She told them they had no right to take the creature. She never thinks about herself first. Aaron could see the pride in Lyra's eyes. She sounds brave. He said, she is, Lyra replied. But bravery is not enough against machines. That is why I needed someone who understands them. They set off again, and before long, the tracks curved toward a narrow canyon. Aaron slowed the rover, scanning ahead. At first, it seemed empty, but then a faint metallic glint caught his eye on the far side. He stopped and raised a small viewing scope. Through it, he saw the edge of a moving shape, a patrol drone, walking on 6 legs, each step slow and measured. It carried a long sensor arm that swept the ground ahead. We can't go through while it's there, Aaron said quietly. Lyra leaned closer. Is there another way? Maybe, Aaron said, studying the ridge walls. If we can climb around the canyon, we might avoid it, but it will take more time. Time was something they did not have much of. The drones would leave the planet soon, and every hour mattered. Still, getting caught here would mean failure before they even reached the base. They left the rover hidden behind a rock wall and began to climb a narrow ledge along the ridge. The path was steep, and the dust made it slippery. Lyra moved carefully, her small hands gripping the rock tightly. Aaron stayed close behind in case she slipped. From above, they could see more of the canyon. 2 more patrol drones were moving along the far side, scanning the ground and sending signals to each other. Aaron realized that the entire approach to the base was heavily guarded. They made their way back down on the other side of the canyon and returned to the rover. Lyra looked at him with a serious expression. There are more than I thought, she said. That just means we have to be smarter, Aaron replied. They followed the new path until the sun was low, casting long shadows across the valleys. The wind was growing stronger now, and the air shimmered with fine dust. Aaron knew they would need to find shelter soon or risk being caught in a storm in the distance. He spotted a dark opening in the ridge wall. It looked like a small cave. They drove toward it, hoping it would give them a safe place to rest. When they reached it, they found more wreckage inside, broken drone parts scattered across the floor. Some were old, covered in dust, but others looked recent. This meant that something out here was capable of destroying drones. Lyra looked at the pieces, her voice low. Maybe this is good. If something else fights the drones, it might help. US, or it might be another danger, Aaron said, studying the damage. Either way, we'll need to be ready. The cave gave them shelter from the wind, but it also raised new questions. Whatever was breaking drones in the ash valleys could become an unexpected ally or a threat. They could not predict as the wind howled outside. Aaron knew they were only at the very start of a dangerous journey. The path to Mira was still long, and the real challenge had yet to begin. The wind outside the cave roared like a distant ocean. Fine black dust swirled in the air, carried in powerful gusts that made the rocks hum. Aaron stood near the cave entrance, watching the storm grow stronger. The light outside had almost disappeared, replaced by a dim gray glow. It is starting, he said to Lyra. We will have to wait here until it passes. The rover can't move in this. Lyra stepped closer to the entrance, peering into the storm. The dust outside sparkled faintly in the fading light, each particle sharp enough to cut exposed skin. How long will it last? She asked. Sometimes hours, Aaron replied. Sometimes a whole day. We will need to be patient. They moved deeper into the cave for shelter. The air inside was cooler, but not completely still. A faint breeze carried dust farther back, and Aaron could see old marks on the floor. The same kind of grooves made by drone treads. That meant the cave had been visited before. He switched on a small light from his belt. The beam cut across the rough stone walls, revealing the remains of machines scattered across the ground. Some were in pieces, with wires hanging like torn threads. Others had deep dents and burn marks. Lyra knelt beside a shattered drone head, something crushed. This, she said softly. Look at the metal. It is bent inward, like from a great weight. Aaron examined it closely. You're right. This wasn't just from a fall or storm. Something attacked it directly. The thought made both of them more alert. If something here was strong enough to destroy a patrol drone, it could also be dangerous to them. They decided to explore the cave while they waited for the storm to ease. The tunnel curved deeper, the walls narrowing slightly. Aaron walked ahead, his light revealing more wreckage. Some of the pieces looked newer, with less dust settled on them. Whatever is doing this, Aaron said, it's still active. We might be in its territory. Lyra glanced over her shoulder toward the entrance. Should we leave? We can't, Aaron answered. The storm would tear us apart out there. For now, this is the safest place. As they moved farther in, they found a larger chamber where the floor was covered in black dust and broken metal. In the center of the chamber stood a heavy piece of machinery unlike anything Aaron had seen before. It was tall, with curved plates of armor and strange markings carved into its surface. Lyra approached it cautiously. What is it? Aaron circled it, studying the shape. It looks like some kind of weapon or tool. Maybe whatever is hunting the drones left it here. Or maybe it is part of the hunter itself. Before they could study it further, a sharp sound echoed from deeper in the tunnel. It was metallic, like claws scraping stone. Both froze, listening. The sound came again. Closer this time. Aaron motioned for Lyra to step back. Stay behind me, he whispered. From the shadows ahead, a shape emerged, tall and broad, moving with a slow, steady pace as it stepped into the light. Aaron saw it was covered in dark armor made from a mix of metal and hardened stone. Its head was shaped like a helmet, with a single glowing red line where eyes should be. In one hand, it carried a long staff tipped with a blade. Lyra's breath caught. It is alive, she whispered. The figure stopped a few steps away, tilting its head as if studying them. Then, in a voice deep and mechanical, It spoke. You are not drones. Aaron kept his voice calm. We're not. We're here looking for someone. A girl taken by the scavenger drones. The figure's head tilted again. The drones take many. I destroy them when I can. Why? Aaron asked. They are thieves. The figure replied simply. They do not belong here. I remove them. Lyra stepped forward slightly. Will you help us? My sister is among those they took. The figure was silent for a moment. Perhaps, but their base is strong. Too many weapons, too many eyes. You will not reach her alone. Aaron realized this hunter could be a powerful ally, but also a risk. If you help us, he said, you can destroy more drones. We just need to get inside their base and get out quickly. The figure considered this. I will guide you part of the way, but I do not go inside. That is your task. Before they could ask more, the figure turned and walked to the edge of the chamber. The storm will end soon. When it does, follow me. I know paths they do not guard. It disappeared back into the tunnel, leaving them alone with the broken machines. Aaron turned to Lyra. If it knows secret paths, that could save us time. But we'll need to be careful. We don't know if we can fully trust it. Lyra nodded. I think it hates the drones. That may be enough for now. They waited in the cave until the wind outside began to fade. The roar softened to a distant whisper, and faint light returned to the entrance. Aaron checked the rover and cleared the dust from its filters. When they stepped outside, the hunter was already waiting, standing still like a statue. It pointed toward a narrow gap in the ridge ahead. This way, it said. They followed. The rover moving slowly through the winding path. The ground was smoother here, and the walls of the gap blocked most of the wind. Aaron noticed there were no drone tracks in this area, confirming what the hunter had said. The machines did not patrol this way. As they traveled, Lyra kept her eyes fixed ahead, her mind on her sister. Aaron focused on every turn the hunter made, memorizing the route. In case they had to return without help, the path began to slope downward, leading into a deep canyon. From somewhere ahead, the faint hum of machinery drifted through the air. The hunter stopped and pointed toward a distant glow. They're outer towers, it said. You are close now. I will go no farther. It stepped aside, letting them pass. If you return, I will be here, it added. Then it turned and walked back into the shadows. Aaron and Lyra exchanged a glance. They were now on their own again, but closer than ever to the heart of the scavenger drone's base. The glow ahead marked the beginning of the real danger, and the only chance to save Mira before it was too late. The next morning, Aaron and Lyra moved quickly. The storm in the ash valleys had weakened, and they could finally travel without fearing the sharp crystal dust. Tearing apart the rover's panels, Aaron kept the engine at a steady speed, watching the scanner on the dashboard. Every few minutes, it beeped softly, marking some moving object in the distance. He was not sure if it was an animal or a machine, but he knew the scavenger drones were never far away. Lyra sat beside him, her small hands gripping the seat. Her eyes were fixed on the horizon. She had been quiet for a long time. Aaron wanted to ask her what was on her mind, but before he could speak, the scanner gave a sharp, loud beep. Something is following us, Aaron said, slowing the rover. He turned the rover slightly, taking a side path between two jagged rock walls. The path narrowed until it was barely wide enough for the vehicle. Aaron stopped the rover and stepped out. The silence around them was heavy. From behind the rocks, a tall figure appeared. The figure wore armor that looked worn but strong, pieces of dark metal covering his body. A long scarf wrapped around his neck, and a helmet with a dark visor hid his face. In his hand, he carried a long weapon that glowed faintly at the tip. Lyra stepped back. Aaron stood in front of her. I'm not here to harm you, the stranger said in a deep voice. His visor shifted slightly as he looked at Lyra, then back at Aaron. I am hunting the scavenger drones. Aaron stayed silent for a moment. Why are you hunting them? The stranger moved closer. Because they have something I want. They collect rare life forms. I sell them back to those willing to pay for their freedom. The price is good. Lyra's eyes narrowed. You mean you make money from them? My sister is not for sale. The stranger tilted his head. I do not care whose sister she is. I follow my contracts, but I will make you a deal. I know where. Their base is hidden. You want to find it. I want to get inside. Help me, and I will help you." Aaron didn't answer right away. He studied the stranger's posture. The way his hand stayed close to his weapon. He was skilled and dangerous. But his words had truth in them. Aaron knew that without a guide, finding the drone's base in the vast canyon system could take too long. "What is your name?" Aaron asked. The stranger paused. "Varek." "All right, Varek," Aaron said. "You can guide us, but if you try to harm Lyra or take her sister, you will regret it." The man gave a low chuckle. "Understood." They moved together now, the rover carrying all three. The journey was tense. Lyra sat quietly in the back, her eyes never leaving Varek. Aaron focused on the controls. Following the directions Varek gave, they passed through long stretches of empty rock plains, deep cracks in the ground, and narrow passes where the sunlight barely touched the floor. After hours of travel, Varek raised a hand. "Stop here." Aaron stopped the rover. Ahead lay a cliff edge. Below it stretched a wide canyon, and deep in its shadows sat a shape that looked like part of the rock itself. But Aaron recognized the smooth, artificial lines of its walls. The drone's base. The base was built to blend with its surroundings. Turrets turned slowly along the walls. Machines moved on the ground, scanning for threats. Aaron saw small landing pads on the far side, with cargo shuttles parked in neat rows. "That is it," Varek said. "Their main hub on this planet." Lyra leaned forward. "Then let's go now." Varek shook his head. "No, you charge in now, and you will be captured before you take 10 steps. We wait until night. That is when their patrol pods are weakest," Aaron agreed. They backed the rover into a narrow gap between two boulders where it would be hidden. As the sun sank, the air grew colder, and the canyon shadows stretched longer. The hum of the base's machines echoed softly. While they waited, Varek cleaned his weapon. Aaron prepared his small toolkit, checking the hacking device he had built. Lyra sat near the edge, staring down at the base. Aaron could see the determination in her eyes. She would not stop until her sister was safe. When the first stars appeared, Varek stood. "Time to move." They climbed down a rough path along the canyon wall, careful not to make noise. Varek moved with the silent skill of someone used to dangerous missions. Aaron kept low, holding his toolkit tightly. Lyra followed close, her steps light and quick. Halfway down, they stopped behind a large outcrop. From here, they could see the gate of the base. It was guarded by 2 heavy drones, their glowing sensors scanning back and forth. Varek pointed to a narrow vent system on the side wall. "That is our way in. I can get you close, but the rest is up to you." Aaron nodded. "Once we get in, I can overload their main relay. It will take down half the defenses and open the holding pods." Lyra's grip tightened on Aaron's arm. "Please, just get her out." Varek gave a sharp signal, and they moved again, slipping between shadows, every step bringing them closer to the danger ahead. Inside the canyon, the air was heavy with the hum of machines. The mission had begun, and Aaron knew there was no turning back now. The night wrapped the canyon in shadows. The air was cold, and the soft hum of the drone's base echoed against the rock walls. Aaron, Lyra, and Varek crouched behind a large boulder near the outer wall. Above them, the faint light from the bases. Towers cut thin lines through the darkness. Varek studied the guard drones at the gate. Their metal bodies shifted as they scanned the ground, their glowing eyes sweeping side to side in a steady rhythm. "We move when both are looking left," Varek whispered. Aaron nodded, gripping his toolkit. Lyra stayed low, her small figure almost hidden in the deep shadow. Her eyes were locked on the vent Varek had pointed out earlier. Their way inside, Varek counted under his breath. 3, 2, now. They slipped out from behind the boulder, moving quickly but silently. The cold ground crunched faintly under their boots. Aaron's heart beat faster as they crossed the open stretch. The drones at the gate stayed facing away, unaware of the figures slipping along the outer wall. The vent was just above head height, covered by a metal grate. Varek reached it first and pulled a small device from his belt. He pressed it to the screws, and within seconds, the grate came loose. Aaron climbed in first, his toolkit strapped tightly to his back. Lyra followed. Then Varric replaced the grate behind them. Inside, the air was warm and filled with the low thrum of machinery. The vent was narrow, but tall enough for them to crawl. Aaron led the way, checking each junction carefully. The metal walls vibrated faintly from the power flowing through the base. After a few turns, they reached a vertical shaft. A thin maintenance ladder ran down its side. Far below, dim light glowed from a maintenance bay. "We go down here," Aaron whispered. They climbed slowly. The metal rungs were cold and smooth. At the bottom, they slipped out into a small room, filled with tools and spare parts. A single service drone rolled past the open doorway, its sensors scanning lazily before moving on. Varric pointed toward the hall. "The relay is in the control room on the second floor. That is where you will work in the holding pods?" Aaron asked. "Lower level," Varric said. "I will go there once the relay is down. The doors will unlock." Lyra stepped forward. "I'm going with you." Varric raised an eyebrow. "You will slow me down." "She's my sister," Lyra said firmly. "I am not staying behind." Aaron looked at both of them. "We split after I start the relay overload. That way we move faster." They moved into the hallway, staying close to the wall. The floor was smooth metal, and faint light strips ran along the ceiling. A low hum filled the air, the sound of countless systems working at once. Twice they had to duck into side rooms. As patrol drones passed, the drones' footsteps were heavy, each step echoing in the narrow halls. Varric's hand stayed close to his weapon, but he didn't fire. Silence was their best shield out at last. They reached the stairwell. Aaron and Varric exchanged a quick nod before climbing. Lyra stayed close to Aaron. On the second floor, they found the control room door. It was sealed with a panel lock. Aaron knelt, pulling a thin device from his toolkit. Wires flickered with soft light as he worked. His hands moved quickly, connecting, bypassing, and triggering circuits. The lock clicked open. Inside, the room was filled with glowing screens and humming consoles. Data scrolled endlessly across the displays. Lists of captured life forms, drone patrol paths, and cargo shipments. Aaron moved to the main relay console. "Give me 2 minutes," he said. Varric stood at the door, watching the hallway. Lyra hovered near Aaron, her eyes darting from screen to screen. Aaron's fingers flew over the controls. He pulled a small cylindrical device from his bag and connected it to the relay's access port. The screen flashed a warning. "Power grid interference detected." Aaron bypassed the alert. A new bar began filling. The overload process had started. Suddenly, an alarm blared. Red lights flashed across the control room. "They know we're here," Varric shouted. Aaron kept working. 30 more seconds. Heavy footsteps thundered in the hallway. Varric fired a short burst from his weapon, sparks flying as a drone collapsed at the doorway. Lyra flinched but stayed close to Aaron. The progress bar reached the end. Aaron hit the final command. "Done." The base shuddered. Lights flickered. Across the control screens, security gates and pod locks disengaged. Half the drone icons on the patrol map went dark, their systems offline. "Go," Aaron yelled. Varric and Lyra ran from the room, heading toward the lower level. Aaron followed, gripping his toolkit. The halls were chaos now, drones moving in confused patterns, some shutting down completely, others reacting aggressively. They reached the stairwell and hurried down. The lower level was dim, emergency lights casting long shadows, metal doors along the walls were now open, and frightened figures were stepping out. Small creatures with thin limbs, furred shapes, and scaled beings, all blinking in the low light. "Lyra," a weak voice called. Lyra spun toward the sound. A girl, younger and thinner than her, stepped out of one of the open pods. Her hair was tangled, her eyes tired but bright. "Sana," Lyra cried, rushing forward to hug her. Aaron and Varric stayed alert, scanning for threats. More drones were coming, their glowing sensors cutting through the shadows. "We need to move," Varric said sharply. Aaron grabbed a small flash charge from his bag and threw it down the hallway. The burst of white light blinded the drones for a few seconds, giving them time to run. They moved quickly through the lower corridors. Sana supported by Lyra. The vent they had used to enter was too far now, so Varric led them toward a side cargo hatch. When they reached it, Aaron worked the lock. His fingers shook from adrenaline, but the door opened with a hiss. Cold night air rushed in. Outside, the canyon was silent except for the distant alarms still echoing from the base. The group hurried toward the shadow of the rocks, keeping low until the base was far behind. Only when they were hidden among the boulders did they stop to catch their breath. Sana clung to Lyra, tears in her eyes. Aaron looked toward the base, its lights flickering weakly in the distance. "We made it," he said. Though he knew the danger was not over, Varric stood a few steps away, watching them. His visor reflected the faint starlight. "You got your sister back," he said. "My deal is done." But Aaron noticed something in Varric's tone, a hint that he might not be leaving just yet. The cold night air filled their lungs as Aaron, Lyra, Sana, and Varric moved quickly between the rocks. The distant alarms from the drone base still echoed, mixing with the soft whistle of the wind through the canyon. They had escaped, but the danger was far from over. Sana clung tightly to Lyra's side, her small hands gripping her sister's coat. "I thought I would never see you again," she whispered, her voice trembling. Lyra smiled, brushing dust from Sana's hair. "I promised I would find you. Nothing could stop me." Aaron kept his eyes on the dark paths ahead, alert for any signs of pursuit. The base's defenses might be weakened, but the drones still patrolled nearby, and Varric was silent, moving like a shadow beside them. After a few minutes, Aaron slowed the group near a narrow ravine. The moonlight revealed a hidden path lined with thick brush and twisted roots, a difficult way, but it would hide them from view. Varric stopped and turned to face them. "You can take this path," he said. "It leads to the outer settlements where you can find safety." Aaron looked at him carefully. "And you?" Varric's visor reflected the moonlight as he answered. "I have unfinished business here. The drones have something I want, and I will not leave until I get it." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Are you going to betray us?" Varric shook his head slowly. "No, I helped you because your fight is also mine. But my goals are my own. I cannot leave with you." Sana looked up at Varric, confusion and fear in her eyes. "Will you come back for us?" Varric's voice softened. "If I survive, yes, but this place is dangerous, and I cannot promise anything." Aaron weighed the truth in Varric's words. They had come this far with his help, but now their paths split. Trust was a fragile thing, and they needed to stay strong. "We understand," Aaron said. "Thank you for your help." Varric nodded once, then slipped into the shadows, disappearing as silently as he had appeared. Lyra held Sana close, leading her toward the hidden path. Aaron followed, feeling a strange mix of relief and worry. The valley was still full of dangers, and their journey was not yet over. As they walked, Aaron asked softly, "What will you do now?" Lyra glanced back briefly. "I will stay with Sana until she is safe. Then I will find a way to stop the drones for good." Aaron smiled. "That sounds like a plan I can support." The hidden path wound through the rocks and trees, shielding them from the cold wind. The stars above shone brightly, as if guiding them home. After hours of careful travel, they reached a small settlement. Warm lights flickered in windows, and the sounds of life filled the air. People welcomed them with surprised smiles and open arms. Sana ran to her parents, tears of joy falling freely. Lyra stood beside Aaron, watching the reunion with a peaceful heart. Aaron knew that this was only the beginning. The drones were still out there, and the mysterious hunter named Varric remained a wild card in the story. But for now, hope was alive, and sometimes that was enough to change the future.